How you doing? This is John and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at X-Men King Size Annual number 4, 75 cents. This is 1980. As you can see, this was my copy that I bought when I was a kid. It's kind of beat up. That's because I loved it so much and I read it over and over and over again. You just can't get better than this. So here, look at this cover. This is Bob McLeod and JR. That's John Romita Jr. Okay, I had the honor of meeting John Romita Sr. I've been to his house twice. Spent an afternoon with what a great guy. You know, I never met John Romita Jr. He's my co-worker's lives next door to John Romita Sr. and he invited me over. It was wonderful. But I guess I'm bragging. So here we have as far as I'm concerned, a great cover. We have Doctor Strange guest starring in the X-Men comic. And look at that corner box. That's John Byrne's artwork and Terry Austin's ink. Oh, just glorious. Just glorious. Glorious. There's nothing else to say. Beyond Dante's darkened doorway lies Nightcrawler's Inferno. Here we got Xavier down here. We got Kitty Pryde. We got Ororo Monroe. Storm. Stephen Strange. Doctor Strange. Logan. That's all he was known at the time as Wolverine. And Peter Rasputin, the Colossus. I always thought that name, because Rasputin basically means the wretched. So let's look at the credits. Stan Lee presents the Uncanny X-Men. Chris Claremont writer. What can I say about Chris Claremont? Everything you know about the X-Men came from Chris Claremont. He wrote he took over from the new X-Men was created by Len Wein and Dave Cockrum, and Chris Claremont took over and then just hit the ground running and turned it into a superstar team that we all know and love today. Len Wein planted the seed, and Chris Claremont watered that seed into a gigantic redwood. John Romita Jr. and Bob McLeod artists. Just, I know this is controversial, but I'm not a big fan of John Romita's current work. I don't know, from Hitman. Or Kick-Ass, rather. From Kick-Ass on, I just feel like he's been phoning it in. But back at this point, especially inked by a master like Bob McLeod, he was just awesome. As you can see, this is just awesome. And Todd Orzowski, letterer, Glennis Wynn, colorist. Glennis Wynn is the wife of Len Wein, the man who created the co-creator of the new X-Men. Louise Jones, this is Louise Simonson before she married Walt Simonson. Marvel must have been a good place to have relationships and get married, because Wheezy is still married. I don't know about Glennis and Len. I don't even know if they're still alive. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. And I say this every time Jim Shooter's name is mentioned, that the Jim Shooter era was the best, Marvel's highest point. And I know creators don't like that because he was kind of a tyrant, but I was a kid who just enjoyed the work. No need to go through the indicia because we already got the year. So Nightcrawler's Inferno. Look at that nice splash page. We know that it's a Nightcrawler centric comic. And Dave Cockrum, who created the new X-Men and created Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler was his favorite of the X-Men. And believe it or not, Nightcrawler was originally created for the Legion of Superheroes over at DC. And Dave Cockrum was doing his famous run on the Legion of Superheroes, and that team just swelled up to like 30 members. That is just another, oh God, that's just another, I got to break out more Legion of Superheroes. It's funny because I panic every day on my drive home. What am I going to do today? And then I think about comics, and then I get home and I forget which ones I'm going to do, and I panic. So note to self, more Legion of Superheroes, more Batman, more Superman. And Dave Cockrum created Nightcrawler, but for whatever reason, I don't know if the writer didn't like him or the editor, I don't know why, but he was never used and he became the X-Men, and thank God, because I can never picture the X-Men without good old Kurt Wagner. So here's Trans Am Muscle. What are these model cars? Pretty cool model cars. So here we have, it's everybody's favorite Nightcrawler's birthday. So yeah, he's 21. And it's funny because when I read this, I was like, 21, oh man, so old. I want to be 21 again. And here they are, all dressed in this civilian clothes, and they're having a nice little party for Kurt. Good old establishing shot. Look at that. Everybody's singing. Look at Pete. Pete's younger. He's supposed to be like 19 at the time. He's the next youngest X-Men next to Kitty Pryde at the time. And I think, well, everybody knows he's the oldest. You know, but we didn't know much. Wolverine was still a man of mystery at this point. So we don't know how much older Wolverine is. Like you know, he's like over a century older. So whatever. So he's just being a slob, eating the food. And look, I remember that as a kid. I always thought that was funny. He gives him a picture of himself, or at least we assume, right? So he's talking, they're laughing. And why is he still in the costume when everybody else is in their civilian clothes? But that's him for you. And this is kind of interesting. This is kind of forgotten, but she's new to the X-Men. She's new. She's like 13 years old at the time, and so she's the newest creation and She's the newest member of the team, and she's freaked out by the way Nightcrawler looks. You know, it's you know, she freaks out every time she flinches, and it bothers her that she flinches. You know, she doesn't mean to, but she can't help it. It's a visceral reaction to the way he looks. She's not used to it. Doesn't mean she hates him. Doesn't mean she's bigoted or prejudiced or anything. She's seeing this furry face with the tail and everything like that, and it frankly scares her, and she gets over it. But I thought it was a neat exploration because it hurts feelings, because you know that's what happened back in Germany, and they'll revisit that in this comic, why he was being chased and everything like that, why he's not accepted because he looked, and here he is, a fellow mutant that can't get over him. But I thought that was very real. That's why Chris Claremont is a good writer. He comes up with real, you know, real world applications of unusual comic book superhero events. So here they are, just having a gay old time, talking and laughing, and I just love the inking. You know, John Romita, his artwork is very distinct, but with this Bob McLeod, it's really giving it a John Byrne look. So you know, I guess they're just trying to keep it as close to John Byrne's work as possible. And look at this, he gets this cool figurine that poof, it explodes and knocks him out. Just whatever, he just knocks him out. Here we go, get some grit. Spider-Man. The Human Torch, what am I going to do with you? The Human Torch saves the valley, so he's flying over everything, and he throws fruit pies at this Vincent Price looking guy, and he saves the day with fruit pies. I find that to be the most unbelievable writing ever. No, if somebody threw fruit pies at me, you made an enemy for life, because fruit pies are disgusting. So Wolverine, can you hear? Nothing, not a peep. We better get him to the Medi Lab. So here they go to the X-Men lab. Everybody's doing their tests. Xavier, remember, if you're a comic book scientist, and Xavier is a comic book scientist, that means you're every kind of scientist. If you are, you know, he's a master of I guess genetics. So that means he's a medical doctor. It also means he's a physicist. It also means he's a rocket scientist, because that's the way comic books work. And I guess if you're in the X-Men, you know how to work all these. But you know what? I guess advanced technology, one of the things about advanced technology is it makes everything easy to work with. So, you know, I'll buy that Storm kid work medical computers, because if they're that advanced, then they should be easy to use. So here they are, they're all nervous about him, and here's Logan drinking beer, because that's what tough guys do, they drink beer. So like, he's beyond our help. For all they know, he's dead. And he's crushing, you know, they're all pissed. Would you be? She's ashamed of herself, because she, at this point, she didn't come to terms with her phobia against Kurt's look, and I guess she's drowning her sorrows in some popcorn. That's my girl. I understand. Eat your feelings. And look, he's gigantic. Wolverine's tiny, and he's gonna go make a phone call. He's gonna make special arrangements. And they're like, "What do we do? What do we do?" And on his 21st birthday, for all they know, their buddy's dead. She answers the door, and Creepowitz answers. Creepowitz. Sometimes I wonder how my mouth works. And it's Doctor Strange. So Xavier saying nothing makes scientific sense. So if nothing makes scientific sense, then we need to get the expert in non-scientific stuff. That's Doctor Strange. And I love that in this time period or whatever, that all the superheroes, you know, all the heads of state of, you know, Xavier is the head of the mutant faction, Doctor Strange is the head of the magic faction, and Reed Richards is the head of the scientific faction, stuff like that. I love that they all consult each other. It's been retroactively inserted that there was a group of superheroes that secretly all met and set like the superhero agenda, and Xavier and Doctor Strange were on that team. They jokingly referred to themselves as the Illuminati. So it kind of makes sense that they would work out. So here he has the Eye of Agamotto. And the Eye of Agamotto, for those of you who are new to this, like Jim Shooter made his policy that every comic book is somebody's first comic book. So you gotta explain it. You gotta make it welcoming. So I think that's a good policy. Every time I make a video, I'm going to flatter myself and assume a new person's going to watch it rather than the same people. So for those of you who are new, Doctor Strange in the comic book, the Eye of Agamotto had nothing to do with time travel. It didn't have anything to do with the Infinity Stones. Agamotto was this ancient, and I forget if Agamotto is a god or a spiritual being or just a mighty sorcerer or wizard from the past. But he created this eye, and the amulet would open up. They're not really showing it here, but it would open up and it would look like an eye, and then it would float up into, and it would stimulate the wearer's third eye, the pineal gland or whatever, and you could see through all deception. So it reveals the truth, and things that lie, things that shouldn't be there, evil things can't stand the truth and they burn. So it's kind of like a plot device that could kill demons and stuff like that. Nothing to do with time. Look at this freaky eyes scanning poor old Kurt. And here, my mystic eye, it senses another presence in the room by the hoary host of Hoggart. So he establishes he's not dead. It looks like he's dead, but this is definitely magic. His vital signs are being concealed, but his soul has been whisked away. So reveal yourself, reveal yourself. And who is this? None commands Margali of the Winding Road. You are known to me, mage. Of course, right? Everybody. If you are in the magic world and you don't know Doctor Strange, you're not doing your homework. So there we go. I'll leave it at that. So I always love this. So we have this horrific image making these snakes and tendrils, stuff like that. Doctor Strange immediately goes off into battle mode, and everybody else is kind of stunned. There's Wolverine just freaking out. Colossus he transforms. I guess he had his costume underneath. Unstable molecules, and Wolverine slashing and dashing. She pushes Xavier out of the way, and he's trying. Come on, help me! And look, she's actually scared. I like this. Back when Chris Claremont wrote the X-Men, they were full characters with flaws and virtues. They had virtues, they had vices. She's scared right now. Demons are pulling her in. I just love that. She's trying to get away. Xavier's trying to pull her out. And it's frightening. You know, superhero or not, you could get scared. So I kind of like that. And here he's freaking out. Can you blame him? I always thought that was kind of freaky that they wrap his legs up in a blanket. Why can't he just wear pants? And the door gets slammed. And here we have the task force. What is this? Oh yeah, little miniature. I think this was like cardboard chits. Anybody order this? I'm always been curious about that. And here we have the Hulk. This always bothered me because it's supposed to be like this home, whatever, with, you know, homey thing, and that's his cousin. So that kind of bothered me, you know. Whatever. Maybe I'm reading too much into it because I don't know. Maybe I am. Who knows? But here we go. She's using her powers to phase. Don't go in there. I order you not to go in there. You know, she's phased through, and it's like, get out of my head, Professor. And quit yelling, will you? It hurts. I want to see what's happening. And she opens up the door. There's nobody there. What's going on? Well, Doctor Strange did say it was Mystic. And here, the second splash page. I love this. So part the second. Through the way to the woeful city, through the way to eternal pain, through the way among the lost people, justice moved my maker on high, divine power made me, and supreme wisdom primal over blah, blah, blah. Abandon all, every hope ye that enter. This is Dante's Inferno. So here we have the X-Men transported to hell, and they got to go through the 9 circles of hell to free Nightcrawler's soul. I love this. I was obsessed with this comic as a kid, as you could see by how beat up it was. This one comic, and it got me interested in Dante. Dante's Inferno. You know, I got this when I was in grade school, and later on when I was in high school, I bought a copy of Dante's Inferno, and I just read it over and over and over again. And I owe it to Marvel Comics. I owe it to Chris Claremont. I owe it to the X-Men. I owe it to Jim Shooter. I owe it to John Romita Jr. and Bob McLeod. They got me interested in you know, I guess Renaissance Italian literature, you know, from a comic book. You know, I never told this story, or maybe I did, but this would be a good time to tell it. When I was in 3rd grade, I was a bad reader. I was in the worst reading group, and I'm sure everybody could relate. My teacher was a nice lady, and each reading group, there was like 5 reading groups. The class was broken up into whatever reading groups. And each reading group had a name. And it wasn't too hard to figure out. The Owls were the smart kids. Whatever. And I don't even remember what we were. We were like the kookaburras or something like that. You know, I wasn't an owl. And I always joke when I tell the story that my reading group met in the basement by the boiler, and I used to put a bucket on my head as water dripped on my head. Of course, I'm exaggerating. But I was in the worst reading group. And I knew I was in the worst reading group because this is mean to say, but sometimes the truth is mean, that because I could tell by the other kids that were in my reading group. One of the kids didn't know how to zip up his pants. 3rd grade, didn't know how to zip up his pants, and didn't know how to clean himself after go to the bathroom, and he used to walk out of the bathroom with this no pants on. 3rd grade, and I need help. So he went to a different school after that year. So I'm in his reading group. I'm not going to mention names, even though I remember his name vividly. But I was in his reading group, and my friends, I had 2 friends that got me into comic books, and I just loved the pictures. So here I am, 3rd grade, looking at pictures of comic books and reading whatever words that I could read, but I couldn't read all the words. So I read what I could. But this is literally the first time in my life, I'll flip the page, the first time in my life that I'm reading because I want to read, not because I'm being told to read or I have to read. And I wanted to know what was going on in these cool stories. Fantastic Four, you know, The Flash, Superman, Batman. I did have DC Comics at the time. This was like pre-collector days. So I would just read, and I remember like being embarrassed because I couldn't read. And then I just read the captions, and you know, just the word balloons. I didn't read any of the. I used to call them the yellow boxes. Most of the time they were yellow. This particular issue they're blue, and I didn't read them. So I remember my friends talking about details that I missed because I couldn't understand or I didn't read at all. And then I remember there was a comic that was just all of the yellow boxes. You know, there was very few word balloons. So I just made myself read it. And then, I'm not joking, by the end of 3rd grade, I was promoted to the Owls. No lie. I remember going to the Owls reading group and looking at everybody. And I was just so proud of myself, I could read. You know, it just, from September to May, around May, I'll say May, from September to May, I had the fundamentals of reading. I was terrible at it. You know, I was in 3rd grade, so obviously I could read, but I was terrible at it. I was in a group with the kid who couldn't pull his pants up. And by the end of the year, I'm in the Owl reading group. I was very proud of myself, and it's all comic books. It's all comic books, because that's the only thing I read. I didn't read textbooks. I didn't read school books. I read comics, and I read them over and over and over again. And then I remember by 5th grade, I was being analyzed by the school psychologist because I had this big honkin' hardcover copy of La Morte d'Arthur, King Arthur by was it Mallory, Sir Richard Mallory, Thomas Mallory? Yeah, that's it. And I would furiously take notes and take notes and take notes. And I wonder if those notes are still in that book, because I put them back in the book. I checked it out from the library and I put it back, and I think I left the notes in it. But I would love to find those notes. But anyway, so I was reading. I couldn't barely read at the beginning of 3rd grade. By the end of 5th grade, I was reading, you know, big old books. So there you go. So here we go. All the X-Men are in, and I owe it all to comic books. So I love comic books. You know, unabashed comic book fan. I built a comic book room in my house just for, you know, don't need an extra bedroom, don't need a guest room. I need a comic book room because I know where my priorities are. So here we are. The X-Men are hanging out by the shores of the River Styx. They try to get in, and the doors part open, and here he is. Charon is meeting him. All the characters, all the wonderful characters from Dante's Inferno. And this is Charon from Greek mythology. Of course, he's been incorporated into Dante's Inferno, and he ferries them across the river. And he explains to them, you know, I'm only here for Nightcrawler, but if the rest of you cross the river, you're on your own. You know, you pay the consequences. And here they meet Minos, one of the 3 judges. And he's smarmy, and you know, Minos, with the golden touch, he's dead and in hell, and he's judging people as they go in. One of the 3 judges, and of course he's sleazy. He's hitting on Storm. You know, he's telling Nightcrawler, you belong here. The rest of you guys, you know, I'm gonna put you where you go, what circles you belong in. And look at this, comic books for sale. Who is this? America's largest Mile High Comics. Oh, Mile High Comics. I remember this. Let's see. Amazing Adventure, Avengers 23. Look. Oh man, X-Men. Do they? X-Men 13 for $5. Oh man, wouldn't that be great? Go back in time, get some of these comics. Oh man. Okay. With this 21, we'll stop here. Because I babbled too long talking about personal stories, but you know, I hope that interests you. But I'll stop here, and I'll continue tomorrow with the second part of. I have a feeling this is going to take 3 days, because I just love this comic, and I'm going to be examining it with a fine-tooth comb, because I haven't looked at this in so long. But here he's throwing Nightcrawler into the proper pit, and Storm goes to rescue him. Here's all the pits of hell, and we'll stop here. So, but thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you don't mind me rambling. You know, please give me feedback. Let me know if you want to see a comic book, and I appreciate that you took time out of your day to listen to me talk about comic books. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thanks. I've got a couple of new subscribers. Thank you so much, everybody. This is a lot of fun for me, and I'll see you tomorrow with more of this wonderful X-Men Annual number 4. I have a lot of things to say about this, because I'm a blabbermouth. Bye bye.